long story short, part I believe this is five. It's been a while since I tapped in and did one of these Jones, but I said let me tap in and do one. Um, I've been busy doing other things. Just did another podcast episode, uh, me and Jazz, and then also had an interview. So I've been a little busy, and then apart from that, I've been doing the beats, which leads me to my long story short story for today. So just want to give you a little background on my music, just my music history, my love for music, and then how I even came about with making beats. Um, I always love music. I feel like pretty much anybody, you gotta just be soulless not to have some kind of love or connection with music. I feel like a lot of people grew up that way. Regardless of the genre, I think it's just a part of a lot of people's upbringing, and who they are today. So that's pretty much who I was coming up in the late 90s, mid and late 90s. Um, Probably by the early 2000s, I began to do rapping myself. Got introduced to it by my cousin at the time. Him and his friends was doing it, and it was pretty much as simple. And just like everything else, again, when I talk about young black and gifted because God says so. Um, it's just something that somebody taught me, showed me the basics of it, and I grasped onto it and I ran with it. But nonetheless, I'm just that's pretty much the gist without getting too deep into me rapping, which I came up in a time. This is like pre YouTube, battle rap DVD era, so it was pretty much on site. So if any raps I was doing, outside of going to the studio with my cousin and them, like going to the studio with them, they was trying to make like demos. They was trying to make songs and getting multiple, having a hook in between each verse and stuff like that. But outside of that, I came up with pretty much the battle rap era. But in the midst of that, I'll tell you this short story. I always share it with people. So my homie at the time, he had an older brother who pretty much had a setup himself. We started on a karaoke machine, which is like a speaker, CD player on top, tape decks in front. You put the CD in the player, put the blank tape in there. You push record. You got the microphone. You do your 1 2. Feel me? That's how we started. Then he upgraded, by the time he graduated high school, which probably at that time placed me at about still probably mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Um, I'm probably about 17 at the time. So, but he pretty much upgraded the situation. So now at that point in time, he got the program. I never forget the program. It was called Acid 3.0. Yeah. Again, just being the guy, being who I am, just a sponge of information, outside of him record. At first it was him recording, and it got to the point where he had other things going on and he would leave me with his computer. So now I'm not only basically engineering sessions, but I also discovered he told me that you could make beats on there. And back then it was pretty simple. It was I didn't have like a beat machine or anything like that, but basically it was a sound library and you connect the sounds, every sound that you need, whatever it was, a synthesizer, drum patterns, bass, whatever you need, hi-hats, all that stuff was in like a library. And I pretty much would just skim the library and I would piece the sounds together. And I made probably like two beats. And I remember saving it into, and well, first off, I remember like first showing him like, look, I made beats. Mind you, it's his program. I don't even think he ever tried to make beats himself, but he introduced me to the program and I took advantage of it, right? So when I introduced the beat to him, I remember him like I remember just sitting back watching him listen to it. He got the headphones on listening to it. And I remember like his reactions, like, oh, like on that type time, because like I said, even though I wasn't creating the sounds, I pieced the sounds together in a way to where as though you got a beat, you got a doable, a rappable beat, and then it's like it came from me who, I'm just one of his little brother friends who happened to rap, so now he like, oh snap. But basically at that point, he basically had gave me full control over the computer. So now I'm running. I'm not only I know how to record, I know how to do all that stuff. The only thing I might not have knew how to do was press, but I knew how to at least record and, and get it to a point where whatever else needed to get done. Like I don't think I was like mixing levels and none of that stuff like that. But the basic part was learning how to record, and I pretty much knew that. And then I had the beats, but I never forget. Like I saved my beats under young Kanye. It's a 2004. It's like the height of Kanye, and he's pretty much not only an inspiration for me to figure out how to make beats, but also as a rapper, he was probably like my favorite artist at the time. Always been a Jay-Z fan as I got into music, but like Kanye definitely had a point in time where he was like literally my favorite artist. So I was saving the beats under like young Kanye. And I think that might have hit a nerve with niggas and shit because he just wound up taking this thing back over. And it didn't really mean me nothing at the time. I knew that it felt like niggas was hating, but at the same time, it was his shit. So I didn't put too much thought into it. But another thing I didn't realize was I didn't look at it enough to say, like, yo, this is regardless of how other people receive it, this is a gift that you have, and this is something that you can potentially take serious. I didn't have that. So if you go through all my rambling, I talk a lot. I have a lot of episodes. I have a lot of topics that we talk on. That's like I might even talked about it on one of these segments where I talk about the importance of understanding and knowing who you are early on in life. And if you don't know it, having the right people around you to bring it to your attention so that you can know it for yourself and then do something and make something out of it for yourself. Um, but it literally took me maybe 20 years to get back to that point of making beats. And I tell you, like the same way I came across it, I'll tell you, when I invested in my equipment, it wasn't to make beats, it wasn't the podcast, it was for my daughter. Shout out to my daughter Brianna, beautiful singing voice. And I just wanted up until that point, we had been doing Instagram videos, and I just wanted to take her to the next step, which was like recording. So when I had the opportunity to invest. Now think about this. You talking about 2004 to maybe 2000, and let's call it 19 or 20. Let's call it 20. That's 15, 16 years. You follow me? That I hadn't taken my God-given gifts into my own hands and decided to do something with it. Yeah, I did. I even released a little mixtape and all that, but it was all through the help of other people. I never put myself in a position to do things on my own. Shout out to cousin Kyle, shout out to Jay. Shout out to everybody along the way that kind of like believed in me, and I ain't see it myself, I didn't see it myself. I kind of knew I was hot, but other people probably had more of the vision of who I could be than I did. But nonetheless, we talking about 15, 16 years later, I invested in equipment, and then just like 15, 16 years earlier, when I just discovered something, I'm like, oh, you can make beats on it. And ironically, it was the same format, it was the same idea, different circumstances because it's an upgraded program. That was Acid 3.0. We talk about Logic Pro on a MacBook. I don't even think he had a Apple. Apple might not even been popping like that back then. You follow me? He just had like a simple laptop or whatever. But nonetheless, I run into it the same way. I run into the beat making the same way. And to me, it became like, mind you, not only that, I am recording my daughter. I did start the podcast, but the reason why I grabbed it before I even thought about I wasn't even thinking about making beats. This is something that you can do within a program that I invested in. So here I am, maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years later, and I'm self-taught. I didn't go to school for none of this stuff. Um, I might even with this joint, I might have one of my beats just looped in the background just to give it more. So you can feel the vibes or whatever. But um, I'm still growing in that area, but I've definitely evolved since beginning a year and a half, 2 years ago, and definitely since back then. Um, just learning different things, challenging myself. Not having not saying I don't have the support system, but not having that I don't know what you want, that energy around me to basically like, this is what this is missing. This is what you need to figure out to do in order to make your things better, right? Um, so basically digging for that within inside of myself. And I've made some progress. I want to say like over like the last 6 months, I've been on and off. If it's not podcasting, it's making beats. And one of the things I'm trying to do is figure out a way to maintain if the vibe, if the energy ain't high with podcasting, it's high with the beat making and vice versa, right? But one of the things I want to do is I want to maintain a balance because I don't want to have the energy high in one and then the other one loses out. You follow me? I would love to be able to maintain a balance, like be able to content create and still have the high energy passion for making beats at the same time. But I think I've gotten pretty good, just evolution wise. And it's a lot of samples that I attempted just saying I want to do this, but not knowing like shit about sampling that I've over time just trying, messing up, messing up. And getting to a point again, for me, I'll say I'm at about an 80. I think I'm at about an 80% because I think it's something that I'm just missing. Like this is what I'll say about myself. This is my honest critique about my beat making. that I have the air, I have the vision. I just don't have, I haven't fully developed the skills yet. Again, this self-taught. I didn't go to school. If I decide to look at a YouTube video, that's not, some of the stuff that I just had to overcome. I had to look at YouTube videos to say, oh, okay, that's how you do that. And then that was a part of my arsenal, right? But I might, even in knowing I could go to YouTube, I might not. I'll just keep trying it my way. You follow me? And it's coming along. If you ask me, it's coming along beautifully. Um, so that's where I'm at with beats. Like I said, I think I'm about an 80, 85. Some people might be able to say different, but you got to realize I'm listening to that sound over and over and over again. So sometimes you got to step away from that and come back to it to hear like the action, what's actually there, because you could get lost in the sound just by, engulfing yourself into the vibe, into the sounds. But um, long story short, what I'll say is, again, I might have said this before, and I might sound like a broken record, but if you got those gifts, you got those talents, and you acknowledge them within yourself at an early age, hone them. Don't wait 15 years down the line to know it for yourself. And I'll say, like, if you got somebody in your life that you see the gifts that they have, and they might not be utilizing them right, be an encouragement for them. Don't allow people to waste their talent or their gifts, whatever their purpose may be on this earth. Sometimes we might just need a little nudge. You feel me? Like a little nudge is all we might need to be able to get started. So nonetheless, I'm still got, my goal is to get to that 100, and I'm telling you, because I wasn't at an 80. If a year, maybe I'm gonna even say 6 months ago, I might have been at like a 40 or a 50. But for me, it might, because I knew the vision, I knew what sound I was going for. I couldn't accomplish it. So now I'm doing a lot better at accomplishing the sounds that I'm in search of. And again, another thing too, like utilizing my beat machine with certain sounds. I don't play instruments. I have rhythm, but I I don't know how to play the piano. It's that's not there. The drums, that's not there. So I have to teach myself that, and it's going we going listen, man, we gonna get into that, man. So long story short, you know, believe in yourself. When you see something in yourself, acknowledge it, man. Take advantage of it, acknowledge it, and don't wait too long to decide to do so. It's better late than never, but like Drake say, never late is better. You feel me? But I encourage you, the earlier you find it, the earlier you could get to a space in life to where as though you just doing it however you want to. There's so many opportunities with that. And see, so now, it's so many opportunities just with that. If we just talking about music production, there's so many different ways, so many different avenues for me to make a living for myself. But I'm still, apart from that, I'm trying to perfect it. And then it's like, all right, then we could get to like trying to, as artists, I think we are our biggest critics. I let other people hear my stuff. They might like it, they might not, but that's the beauty of having the internet, because you could put your shit out there and just let the people choose. Feel me? And even, but we gonna get to that, man. Long story short, Shagai underrated. And I'm gonna tap in with y'all again, man. Like I said, I've been on and off, but we gonna get to that.